Hello everyone. Let's see if you all can see and hear me, and we'll get started. Welcome to Shar's Craft Haven. We're going to be talking about curved surface mode. Not quite a replacement to the rotary, but for a lot of things, a lot less hassle. So if you can see and hear all that jazz, let us know in the chat. Looks like it just started up, so we will see. Get a couple of people. I have my lovely assistant who's going to be helping as we do the markers, which I'll show you in the software to mark what part before it does the scanning McScannins. I'm going to try tumbler. That was requested. I'm going to show what I do for glass. Hopefully the settings are low enough that nothing will crack. I played a little bit this afternoon and it cracked a little bit. So welcome Cindy. Hi DJ. Hello Heather. Glad you all are here. And my phone is off. Excellent. All right, as always, if you have questions, feel free to throw them down in the chat. Like, subscribe. I got Patreon if you got money. It helps me carve out time from everything else to do this for you all. So first off, the big thing about curved surface mode is that you have to have the slats out. So if you're ever interested in doing it, it gives you a little reminder, but make sure the slats are out. Something that I'll shift over to the laser cam, something that I helped to figure out where to put the tray is I use a slat to make sure that it's below that level, and I'll show that in a second, just to make sure that it's in the right area. The top of your material is in the right area and it's not so high that you would bump. So, hey Monkey Woodworks, great to see you. It sounds like everybody can hear me and see me, so we will get moving without further ado. So first off, I'm going to start with the tumbler. This is an xTool tumbler. It came with a supply kit, and yeah, so I'm going to switch over to laser cam. We're going to do this two-person. It's a little easier and faster than going back and forth looking. Something to note is that if you have something tapered like this, in the software it's going to have you choose a point and then choose another point to make a rectangle. If you choose a point that's too far out, when it goes to find the other point, it'll give an error. So the area you can use depends on the direction. So for some things it's better to put in the laser like this. This isn't terribly tapered. I forget what we were messing with a pot, which is much more tapered. And so again, as you're drawing a rectangle, you lose some space by choosing those points. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Again, ask questions in the chat and we will get going. So let me just make sure you all can see. And here we go. All right, so first step, like I said before, where to put the drawer. So this would be pretty far down, but would work. Having a slat here lets me know, all right, so if I'm below that, then I'm good. So I'm actually going to move the drawer up. So I'm going to move the drawer up probably, we'll say like 3. All right, so 1 down from there. And I think, there we go. So I'm below that slat level. So that's where I'm going to place this. I am using, hopefully you all can hear me. I use these little Slats is my corral. Keep it from shifting around. So let me get some tape. And I noticed that this is on 2 different levels. So let me fix that fast.
Monkey Woodwork says they can hear us.
Excellent. It helps to buy expensive multi-directional mics. All right. So this is just to keep it from rolling. With the glass I did earlier today, I had a little napkin underneath it just because it made awful noises when I was putting that in. So let me just make sure, since I moved the drawer, make sure that we're below. We are very close, but we're below the top of that slat level. So it's almost level with it. I wouldn't want it to be above that. So should be good. I'm gonna do it this direction. So the points that I'm gonna do, I think you all can see this, are gonna be around here and around here to make a rectangle scan of this area. I don't think that I'll need this, but just in case, I will leave it in here. Something else I discovered when I was doing the glass was that some of them missed, and I closed the lid and then the light could see it better. All right, so we're gonna shift over to software. Show you all what that looks like. Welcome, welcome to the other viewers that have joined us. All right, so we are gonna switch over to software and refresh the camera. So here we go. For the most part, you're gonna ignore the camera view in this. It's not gonna be spot on. I don't really use the close capture just because I want to avoid head strikes. But we're gonna be using the light. There's gonna be a light dot that we're gonna be using. So we're in here. We've selected curved process. It reminds us to ensure the slats are removed. We have done that. And then we're gonna do curved surface. So this is asking us to mark the coordinate for our first part, so the upper left, so to speak, and then we're gonna mark the lower right. And so basically I'm gonna be moving this around battleship style. And my lovely assistant, my wife, is gonna be telling me where to go, how far to go. And we're gonna, again, like I showed before, we're gonna be focusing on getting the dot at the widest part that is in both, the widest part that will be in both directions. Because later on, if this is tapered and it tries to do dots here, they'll fail and it doesn't let you skip dots. So I'm gonna switch over to laser cam view. Actually, let's try this view and see if you all can watch the process at home. So first off, I'm going to move it over. So I'm clicking that, and then
Further to the right.
And then let me just make sure.
Oh.
Is it further to the right?
Nope, I need it to come down.
Okay, so towards you about how far?
I'm not sure yet. I can't see the dot very well.
Okay, so I'll go down.
An inch. Okay, so you have an inch away from me.
So move away from you a little bit?
Yep.
All right.
Good. And then you want to go to the left, maybe a 1/4 inch.
Okay, I'm translating this in my mind to millimeters.
I don't think in millimeters.
So to which direction?
Left.
Okay. A little more than that, or is that good?
Looks like it's in line with the bottom of the cup, so I'm gonna say that that is good.
Okay. So once that's in a good place, you're gonna click this, which is gonna say mark. It's gonna take a second, and then it's gonna do a measurement, and it says that that failed. So if you want to go ahead and close the lid, we got lots of lights on in here, and then I'll try that again. All right, and it succeeded. Like I said before, you know, sometimes having a bunch of extra light pollution makes it miss that. So now we're gonna go ahead and move down to the lower right corner, respectively. So about how far down do you want me to go? Like 3 inches?
It's like 4 inches.
Okay, so translating that in my head. Is that pretty good?
Nope.
Too far?
No, much further.
Okay, so how's that?
Again as much. And again. Half as much.
So it's like Battleship.
That's close enough, I think.
And then how far to the right?
To the right, it's about 2 inches.
Okay.
So now that he's come all the way to the bottom, I can see that I could have had him go further to the left with that first dot. That's one of the challenges of orienting it this way. You want to go a ½ inch to the right.
Okay.
Back to the left. Good. And then towards me, you can go a ½ inch.
And we're not going to use all this space, but we're going to scan it all just so, you know, it's easier. We have more space than we need.
A tiny smidge away from me. Good.
All right, so I'm going to hit mark again on the software, and it marked fine. Do you want me to redo the first mark?
Well, you said we're not going to use the whole space.
Right.
It would give you a little more width, but that's up to you.
I'm fine to redo it if you want to. How far do you want me to go to the left?
I mean, to the left, it's 2 inches.
So all the way across is only 2 inches?
Yes.
Okay, so this is helpful to remember this. In the software later, it doesn't tell you distance, so you're gonna have to shrink it down. All right, is that good?
Quarter inch.
Further?
Yep.
All right, we want an entire distance. So let me go back here, and then let's try this.
That seems fine.
Do we need to go further?
No, I think that's good.
Okay, and then
you want to go.
so that's 60 millimeters for those of you playing at home. So that's going to be our width, and then we're going up. Do you think like 5 inches?
Sure.
Okay, so 5 times 24, carry the 1. So let's try. How's that?
You want to go further up?
About how far?
About another 1.5 inches.
Okay. So we're looking at around 148 tall.
Almost.
I think that's gonna be good enough.
You have to come towards me.
How far?
3 millimeters.
All right, so
Good.
all right, so 140 is our height, and 60 is gonna be our width. I'm gonna hit the mark again, and it's marked. Now we're gonna hit next, and now it generates this how many of these. I honestly think it's a bit overkill often. So I'm gonna change, let's see, rows or columns. I think I'm gonna change the rows. We'll go with like 12. And then I'll keep the columns the same. All right, and then we'll shift to laser cam. Sorry. So we're gonna start measuring, and it's gonna go through and it's gonna measure each of these locations. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see that with the laser cam, but we will see. Whatever you do, don't hit select area again, because that's gonna start you all the way over, and that is annoying. So, all right, so here we go. I'm gonna check your comments while this is going on. Yeah, I sank the battleship. Yep, definitely. If you have questions on this, please let me know.
You can't really see what's going on, but it's kind of cool because you can just see the red dot going in that grid pattern you saw. So it slides over and pauses for a second and then slides over, and as you're looking down into it, you can see how it follows the curve of the tumbler. I just thought this was really cool, and I like the technology.
Yeah, it is dark in there. So question, the more sharp the curves are, the more dots you need to get an accurate sample.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you have a lot of changes, can we change to inches or no? I probably could change it to inches. I design in millimeters, so I would have to translate it anyway. If you have multiple tumblers, you have to redo it for every one of the tumblers. Yes, because the position is changing. If you weren't exact and had it in the exact same place, you would get out of focus. This is more than I've ever done as far as, processing.
More dots.
More dots than I've done before. Mostly, it's like a minute or two. All right, it's moved back. Okay.
And you don't have to be quite so finicky in the measurements. We just didn't like our first ones.
Okay, so here's what it's showing us. It says part of the curved surface is out of the processing range. Do not place elements there. So I think it's because we moved it so far over, and it's past the, it's sort of past the threshold. It's hard to explain. It's so far down that that we wouldn't want to place something that far over the curve. Again, this is the first time I've run into that, but usually I'm sticking into sort of the middle area. All right, so smoothness, it shows how smooth. It's probably hard for you all to see, but smoothness is how bumpy it is in between where we did our dots. And so, I did smoothness all the way up, and then tension, it brings the tension as if this is wire up. And since ours is smooth, that is what our shape looks like. Looks like it had some little issues here at the very end, which it's black, and so it's black. So yeah, so it didn't bounce back completely accurately, but we have plenty of space to work in here. All right. So now, I think you guys are watching this already. So now this is our space. So this, regardless of what the picture shows, this is where we're gonna have our image in. So for our tumbler, I'm gonna just let's see. I'm gonna check fast if there's questions before I move on. All right. Extra holding jig. Yeah, if they're exactly. Yeah, ignore the image at this stage. Yeah, ignore what it looks like. Just focus on the green box. All right, making sure we don't have any other questions. I know there's a bit of a delay. All right, so here we are, back to this. This is our magic box. This is what we want to have our stuff in. And so I'm gonna go ahead and grab an image that I used earlier. Got a nice spring image. And then this is where it's important to remember our measurements. So it was around 140 tall, and then it was around 60 wide. So I'm just gonna change this to 60. This is gonna be engraving. And then something that's new with this software, is there are layers now, and the default layer color is black, which black on a black tumbler and a black backed machine isn't gonna show up. And so by right clicking on it, you can change the color to something else. All right. One of my slight beefs with the software, again, they're updating stuff, is that there's no alignment to this area. So I have not found, maybe Monkey has, I have not found a way to measure this. I've not found a way to align on this, to align it on center. So, maybe they'll improve that. It's a little annoying to just, have to place it on faith. When I did another thing, I was very intentional on where I placed these to place them exactly where I wanted the design, so there wouldn't be a lot of extra space. I think I'm gonna knock this down just for time's sake to like 50 and then center it. Again, I have not played with the close view camera in this at all. I've only been doing this like 3 days. So here we go. We have our image. It's centered in this little box. Just for time's sake, I'm not gonna add anything else down here. We'll see how long. We'll see how long it we'll see how long it says this is gonna take before I start it. And we'll go from there. So settings, again, the settings are a bit of a challenge because this max speed is 80, and so you almost need separate settings for this. I did glass at 50 power, and then I did glass again at 30 power, and both times it cracked the glass. So since it's so slow, I'm used to engraving a lot faster. I'm gonna go low on this. So I'm gonna just go with 20. We'll see what it looks like, and we'll go from there. So let me move this back over to LaserCam. I'm gonna check chat fast and see if there are questions before I start this up and it gets loud. Close view does help some, just straight down into the tumbler. However, still rely on the target box. All right. Awesome. Okay, any other questions before I start this puppy up? I'm gonna, even though there's not a lot to exhaust, I'm gonna turn on the exhaust anyway, because I'm gonna be melting some paint off of the tumbler. And let me just check fast that you all can see what's going on. Excellent. And I'm going to hit process, and it is estimating this will be around 5 minutes. So I will check in on chat. I'm gonna watch it while it's going. If you have questions, let me know, and enjoy the next, it'll probably be a little less than 5 minutes, but we will get this started. All right, laser cam. It actually was above where it needs to be. So again, you know, it's something, I've not done this tumble before, so it's something, so I'm gonna go down to another notch. I know this is fun TV. I stopped it right away so it doesn't, let me check again. Make sure the slack can go all the way down this time. Okay, so it is definitely below. Alright. And now you all get to see me do this solo because one of my children decided not to go to bed. Alright, so I'm gonna have to redo the process, which is totally fine. You'll get to see it again. So we're gonna do curved surface, and then this time it'll take, I'm gonna be less exact. I'm gonna be faster, but I'm just going to do a smaller area just where I would do the flower. So, again, with that red dot, moving this red dot up to here and then down a little bit. So here we go. Okay, so that was a little too far. I'm gonna go 50 back. I know this is wonderful television, but this is how we learn things. All right, I think we're really close with that one. So I'm gonna go down just another like 20. All right, we are right on the edge. So I'm gonna go right just a teeny tiny bit. A little more. Okay, I'm gonna go just a little bit more. Last time we went clear over to that edge. If it's over, I believe it's 45 degrees, then the laser can't traverse the angle. All right, so that's gonna be our start point. All right, and then I'm gonna move over, we'll say 60 millimeters. Go over another 5, just so we're more on the top, okay? And then I'll just go down 60. So we'll do a square that's 60-ish by a little more than 60. All right, still on the cup. We're gonna mark our second vertex. It is check marked both times. So now I'm gonna close it up. And then we are gonna move on to, so this is a 7 by 7. I think that's fine. That'll be fast enough. Let me check and see if there's questions. It's hard to hear me. Hopefully, since I'm close at hand, it's easy to hear me now. All right, make the mistake so we don't. Yeah, and again, I've not had it hit before. Earlier today, I was doing larger objects, so the tray was a lot lower, and I was a lot more careful about making sure it was firmly underneath the slot. PSI, okay. All right, I'm not messing with flame detection, but that's interesting, Jim. Okay, so here we go. So I'm gonna go back to software, and then we're gonna start measuring. I know this is hard to see, but it's basically the little dot is going over a little bit, and then it's pausing, and it's doing readings. This one should go really fast because it's a much smaller area. So you can see it in the software. It's going and doing each of those little dots. And if one of them didn't work, it would turn red. And it might be that one of the edges I went too far. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of the edges shows up red again, because I did go sort of as far as I could over and still have the laser on it. All right, so let me check in on chat again. Emergency stop, unlock. Yeah, it does. I also just press, the emergency stop would be if something horrible was happening. I just pressed the stop button. Nothing was on fire. And that's sort of like pause, but it does immediately unlock the cabin. So yeah, like Monkeyworks said, if something horrendous was happening, I could hit the emergency stop and cut all power, air assist and all that would go off. Since it was just a little minor issue, it was easier to just tap the stop button. Okay, so here we are. Like I guessed, there's a couple areas that are really like beyond where it'd be easy to engrave across. So I'm just gonna avoid those. I'm gonna stick in this area. So tension and smoothness. I don't know if monkeys play with those. This just looks most like the cup because the cup is a smooth transition. So I'm gonna hit done. So again, ignoring the image because that's not where it's at. And then we're gonna bring in the flower image again. And then click on engrave, right click and change it to the right size. And then I'm going to we'll go with like 40. I don't want to spend all this time on just this one project. All right, Last time I did, I want to say 20. I think I'm gonna try 15 this time. There was some sparking. I'm still getting adjusted to having this have so much power, so much more power than the 40 watt. All right, so we got it. We got our settings set to engrave. I'm not gonna mess with any of these. I'm gonna click off of it and then click process. And then it gives an estimate of 3 minutes. And again, as always, you know, watch it while it's going. For things like head strikes, which you don't want to see happen, but you know, it is what it is. All right, so you're gonna hit process, and then we're gonna watch it. Hopefully you all can see how it's adjusting. All right, so let me check in on chat, see how you all are doing. So here's what we're looking at. I'm not sure if you could see very well how it changed, but it was dynamically changing height as it was going. So the laser was changing so that it remained in focus. So again, this was like 15 power, and it clearly went through. So again, here's a close-up. We'll see if I can get it to not look at me. so you all can see, and it doesn't look distorted at all, which is really neat. All right, so let me check, see if there's any questions. All right, let me catch up. What size is the table? Does it wobble at all? It didn't wobble a ton. If I really wanted to like secure this down, you know, I could do that. I could also set the brakes on the Husky table. Yeah, it is a Husky workbench. Okay, so mine, I believe this one is actually, it might be 52. I think it's a 42 inch. The machine itself is around 38. And so it's got a little bit on each side, so maybe it is a 52. I also have a mounted power, so that I could just unplug the power to it and roll it around. Any other questions on the topic of the time? I know there's about a minute delay. I'm going to set up the next thing, which is going to be a pot. And yeah, ask questions as you have them. Welcome to the new folks that are watching. And I'll check in before doing the next thing, which is going to be a clay pot, which is going to have a bit more of the taperedness. And so again, we'll have to create a square or a rectangle that's taking that into account. Okay, not seeing any questions. Let me make sure I'm not missing anyone. Okay, awesome. So let's go back and see how things are doing. Okay. And all right. Okay. Time to play Battleship again. So again, I do curved curve measure, and then we're gonna move over. My lovely assistant's back. How much over are we going?
Come towards me.
How much?
An inch.
An inch.
Well,
that's not an inch.
That was not an inch.
Well, yep, distance and direction. All right.
Okay, so to the left an inch.
Okay.
Good. And then away from me 3 inches.
Three inches. All right.
That's good.
So is that the first mark then?
Yep.
Okay. Press and mark. Okay.
Okay. Come back down 3 inches. Good. And then to the right 2 inches. That's probably good enough. You could go another 1/4 inch if you want to try.
Okay, so 48 and 12. Is that what we're looking at?
No, that is too far.
Okay. So just 48 then. Okay, do our second mark. All right, that one failed, so I'm gonna try again with it closed. Still failed. Are you sure it's on it?
Yeah.
It's not over the edge?
No, not at all.
Okay, let me try moving it just a little bit in. Nope.
Try moving it away from
Do
me.
you want me to look at it?
Feel free.
Okay. So let's try.
Maybe it was a little reflective or something.
I don't know. Let's try that. I put a little tape on it. No, it's still not liking it. Do we need to go that far down?
No.
Okay, let's try going up further. Okay. Let's try this. There we go. All right, I think it might have been too deep. I'm not sure. All right, please don't move it.
I'm done. Sorry.
All right. All right, so we got both of our things marked, and now we're gonna hit next. And this is 5x5, which I think is more than enough for that small area. And we'll watch it go. Yeah, that's too far to the edge. Okay, so it's got a marker here. It can't measure that far off. So we need to go narrower. So I don't know a way to go back, so we're gonna need to start again. All right. So I'm gonna go over 100.
Towards me.
How much?
An inch. Okay. To the left, a quarter inch. Probably too far, so back half of that. That seems good.
Okay, and let's go down. Let's go down and see if it goes off. Is that over the edge?
No, that's good.
Okay, so we went 48 down, and then let's try
To the right about an inch.
only an inch.
Maybe an inch and a half. We can try. I'm trying to keep it. Yeah, that's too far.
All right, we did a larger one last time.
I was trying to make it more narrow.
Okay. That's 1 inch.
Okay, I think you can go a little bit further.
Okay,
That's on.
is that where we want it?
If it'll measure it, yep.
Measurement failed.
Okay, so that's where it was before when we were having trouble with measuring, so I do
Alright.
it further back that way.
All right, still failing. Let me try the tape again. All right. It's Battleship. There we go. All right. So let me remove the tape. Okay. We will measuring again. It's a pretty small area, so it's only gonna do 12. All right. And now we will shrink this down. I think it's around 36. But it's gonna be less tall. So let's try. There we go. All right, so here's what we're looking at. I'll refresh the camera. I'll check the chat. Yeah, it is trial and error. Yeah, it gets easier. It gets easier as you go. All right, so here's where we're at. I think for time's sake, I am just going to do scoring, and I'm gonna do, I believe, 18 power, and then I'm gonna do, we'll say 40. All right. And then process, and this should be super fast. And then I'll see if you all have any other questions. So something I think that was different from the one I did earlier that was larger is that I propped it up so that there was less change in this direction. And so I think it was having issues because we're more than a 45-degree angle would be my guess. So this is the one I just did, which is pretty tiny because it kept failing when I was trying to read down here. And then earlier, when I propped this up just a little bit, I could do a much larger area on this pot. So my guess is I was having issues with this slope here. And so by propping it up a little bit, I was able to use more of that area. Let me see if you all have any questions. Looks like everybody is talking about, everybody's talking about my table. It has enough Z to travel to the bottom. It's actually got tons of Z. I think it's the Z change, Brett. It's got enough Z to do stuff that's much lower than that. But I think the issue is that angle, and I've been told that a 45-degree angle or more is where it sort of conks out ability wise. So all right. Other questions that people have? I'm not seeing much in the chat. Let me go to live chat, make sure I'm not missing anybody. Okay, well, I'm gonna wait just a second for you all to catch up. I did this tumbler earlier, which I'm not sure if there's not a lot of contrast. We really like the color, but that was super easy to do. That was the first thing that I tried. I also did a big hurricane glass. My settings were too high, so it cracked a bit. Glass it can't see, so I ended up using some acrylic paint and just doing a light layer, and then doing the engraving and then just washing it off. Let's see if we got more questions. If not, I think I will call it. So let me check chat one more time. Thank you everyone for coming, for liking, supporting, all that jazz. I appreciate you all coming on this journey. Like I said, with new things, it's trial and error. The more I find out about the capabilities, like Monkey said, I can compensate for that. So if there are not any other questions, yes, so the scoring was super fast, and yeah, so if there aren't any other questions, we'll do a last call, and then as always, thanks for all the support and have fun lasering.